Hello, my name is Tash Mitch, and I'm a life and business mentor, an energy alchemist, and a healer. And today I've got Anaya Sophia with me. I came to Anaya's work through the goddess work that she was doing, and basically connecting people to what I would call the sacral chakra, connecting them to their sensuality, to their sexuality, to their relationships, and bringing that sensuality and relationship aspect up to the heart and to the wisdom as well. And there was a beauty in her voice and a beauty in the work that was coming through her. And so it just felt really apt to actually speak to her with regards to this immersion that I've got coming out called Goddess Woman. And the other piece that really fell in for me with Anaya Sophia's work is basically the Sophia element of her work, and that goddess element that was a reflection and is a reflection of her, that she first of all was communicating with on the outside as a sort of divine wisdom, let's say, a divine entity with intelligence and wisdom, and then has come full circle to bring that in and understand and know and feel and honor that this is her, this level of wisdom and this level of intelligence and this level of divinity. So Anaya Sophia, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Tash. What a beautiful face you have.
Oh, thank you. I could say exactly the same about you, definitely. Thank you. So I got the impetus to really take this, and to play really, but to take this through the lens of the boundless woman, and take this through the lens of how we bring infinity to earth would probably be the way to describe it, basically. How we take that vast element of what we have available to us. And when I look into that, I see Sophia so clearly with you. So first of all, I'd love to ask you, what does boundlessness, when I say boundlessness, that ultimate freedom, what does that mean and sound and feel like to you?
To me, that feels like going through the veil of permission. I believe our own prison that we may feel as a woman, not able to do this, not able to say that, not able to dress this way, dance this way, speak this way. All of this can be gone in an instant if only we give ourselves that sovereign permission. And it's so thin and it's so translucent, and that's why I call it a veil.
Yes.
Because it's everywhere.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it is over the entire chakra system, but it can be easily lifted. In this age, I say it gets easily lifted in a circle of women.
Yes.
Reflecting back encouragement, support, belief, solidarity, trust, love, companionship. Circle of sisters, that's when we can remove our own veil and give ourselves that permission to be boundless.
Yes. And that's such a massive one, because until you realize that there's a veil involved, and very often we don't question the contractions and the restrictions and the space, that small space that we put ourselves into. And then once we do start to actually, question that, we realize that there's so much more available to us, don't we?
Yes. I mean, you will ruffle feathers. And there will be a lot of movement in the outside world with your nearest and dearest. But so be it.
Yes.
It all settles down. It settles down. Friends change. But you get put with the friends who can support and witness this part of you coming alive. And not just witness it, but totally want more of it.
Yes. Yeah, invite it out.
Yeah, that's right.
Tease it out of you, basically.
Yes.
That's the amazing part about reflections as well, isn't it? The fact that we actually really do need each other. Sometimes we just need one reflection. We need to be able to speak our truth and hear that truth echoed back to us. And we need to be able to be witnessed as well. That's such a beautiful thing, isn't it? To be able to be witnessed in your goddessness, I would say.
That's right. The
Yeah.
witness is essential in the traditional indigenous traditions. It is a key element of ritual and ceremony that without the witness, the whole work just implodes in on itself, because the witness is a backbone.
Yes.
The witness brings it fully through into manifestation.
Yeah.
So we can't do this work on our own. We do need our sacred witness.
And that brings me into the wisdom, into the third eye, basically, and the consciousness that we see before us, because witnessing for me speaks so much about consciousness. It speaks so much about a consciousness outside of ourselves that actually really unlocks a consciousness within ourselves. And how we need that mirror at times, but we need also that level of wisdom and groundedness on the outside to show us what's the reflection on the inside, don't we?
Absolutely. And I was just looking at your face now, just a moment ago, and I kind of felt that you dropped very deep in your being, and you looked out at me, and there was nothing in your eyes apart from the witness. And that's how we need to witness each other, not looking, the surface of our being, but to drop right down into the root.
Yes.
And totally give that person all of our attention.
Yes. There's such a beauty in that. There's absolutely such a beauty in that. And I know for myself, I went through quite a long time in my life, not really understanding or knowing or even putting any credence in having a witness or being validated. Because I feel like being witnessed is also being validated. It's also being seen and heard. Yes. And especially when you come from a place that's a little bit left field or a place that's not instantly recognized by the traditional masses, that becomes even more and more important, for you to actually have somebody that goes, I can see you, I can really see you. And for you to feel that reverb in the heart and soul of you, where it allows you to drop and sink in that much deeper. So important, isn't it?
Yeah, essential. Essential and has been missing.
Yes.
So long. And to the Westerner, they don't realize that this is a key component of life. It's an essential part, not a luxury, essential. And we've been flying around, in our independence and our little nuclear families, running around like headless chickens, and missing this rich exchange.
And this for me is bringing that boundlessness into the third eye, because that just opens things out when you realize that everybody holds I feel like we're all interlinked, all interconnected, but we do have resonance with certain people for certain things. And there's a sense of really tapping into that resonance to know when you need to sit before a mirror of some description. And I feel we always get that impetus. That's a mirror. that's a person that I need to sit before, or even group, of people that I need to sit before. We get that impetus. But to know that that's important, I feel is really, really in itself very important to bring that boundlessness in, basically.
Absolutely. And the response. To know is one thing, we must act.
Yes.
And that's another thing, again, the feminine is a little bit prone to. She knows. And because of the conditioning, that we've had in the West, might not act. Might put her husband first, or her children first, or her own mother first. Often the feminine can leave herself to the end.
Yes.
That's the conditioning we're up against.
And that's actually dropping us right down into the throat, actually, and into our expression. Yes. Because this is a place where it's very easy to say things in our heads and in our minds, but to voice it outwards, to express it outwards, to action it outwards.
Yes.
Exactly that, you know, we need coaxing in that direction, depending on what our conditioning has been. And if our conditioning has been about contracting and contorting ourselves into small spaces, that we kind of like start to tell ourselves that we don't matter anymore because the authority figures on the outside have told us that what's outside of us is more important. Coming home to that, coming home to finding the voice and finding the noise and finding the reverb and finding the scream and finding that shout, you know, is quite a journey, but essential, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes.
And feels like a journey that a lot of us women have to make.
Yeah, I feel the woman's journey is in 3 parts. So there's the awakening of the heart, full devotion and worship.
Yes.
Then there's the awakening of the womb, all of the yoni and all of the creativity and all of this is my line and I don't go beyond this point, and you know, setting the new paradigm in sexuality.
Yes.
I can see what I've done, but this is the future, and you know, the bar has been raised.
Yes.
And then finally that voice, fierce, feminine and tender voice, boundless voice.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And now sinking into the heart, actually, because we need the heart to speak our truth. We need the heart to to vibrate and express outwards. And so often, because sometimes the language of the heart can feel hard, you know, it could feel quite tricky to maneuver or quite challenging because the heart speaks our truth. And if we haven't been living in our truth, then it challenges us to get and stand in our truth, which means always that something's going to have to fall away.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And the comfort of that, you know, the comfort of the comfort versus the discomfort of that thing falling away often has us kind of like trying to push the heart down. No, I don't want to hear that, you know, but basically the truth of our, you know, the vibration of expression so needs the heart, doesn't it, and the truth of the heart.
Absolutely. And this is what I'm looking at with this book I'm writing now, The Fierce Feminine. And then the strap line is awakening the power of the heart. Because my feeling is that once the fierce feminine is done, once she has transmitted her sacred outrage, what will be left will be a very soft, very vulnerable, very forgiving, humble, either event, circumstance, or being. Yeah. So she's not out to crucify someone. She's not out to judge or humiliate or condemn. But she will have her entire way with that one. And that one should, fingers crossed, come into contact with its merciful self, beg forgiveness, and simultaneously the grace comes. So all that's left is a wash with grace and gratitude.
Yeah.
That's the fierce feminine.
Yeah.
Ladies have to learn how to embody that. And I am so included in the statement. Because you do the anger piece, no problem.
Forgiveness. You just said that. You just hit it on the head, the forgiveness element. I feel like the outrage always leads into forgiveness if we're going for grace. Like if grace is at the other end, and outrage is at this end, forgiveness is always in the middle, you know? And I learned that lesson. Well, actually, I say that. I came across a piece of information that made forgiveness a no-brainer recently. I was at this workshop and I heard that basically when we don't forgive, when we're holding on to a lot of grudges and a lot of resentment over whatever towards somebody or something, we actually block off the alpha brainwave. And then they went on to say about how the alpha brainwave is obviously our hub of creativity. Like when we're in that zone where we're quietening down and we're opening out and we're allowing information to drop through, the alpha brain is really responsible for that. But it's also responsible for problem solving. It's also responsible for creation and creating. And I was thinking to myself, do I really want my resentment to be blocking off that part of me? Because that part of me is really massively important. You know, that like I value that massively. And so it made me start to think about, okay, let's make a list. Who's done me wrong? You know, who has done me wrong in my life? The list was massive. And I went back to like the little girl in you know, in the school playground who snatched something from me, all the way back there, you know. And just allowing all of these layers to drop away because of the motivation of not wanting to block that element.
Yes, that is a great insight, Tash. Right, I can feel that. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Better get that list going.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of like when you start to realize and understand and feel, and certainly that's what happened with me then, that actually lack of forgiveness is really a block on your own energy. In essence, it's got absolutely nothing to do with the other person.
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier. I don't think, you know, because we can still rage against life and the traumas and the pain and all of that we've been through, that we still haven't processed, and it's still very much in our DNA that, you know, wants to be sort of like peeled off in a lot of ways. But when we really understand what we're doing to ourselves when we don't forgive, it makes the forgiving process so much easier, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And for me, that's basically opening the heart to boundlessness. Is very much about that, or that's what I found anyway.
Yes, yeah. It's like another removal of a veil.
Yes. Yeah, and certainly another peeling off. I'm finding actually that the whole owning that boundless element is literally about peeling robes off. Yes. Robes of conditioning, you know. That robe that you wear because you want to impress somebody, or that robe that you wear because they told you that's what you should have, you know, or that robe that you wear because you can't be too noisy. I mean, we all have these robes that we wear, these sort of like elements of our presence that we sort of put on, that have actually got nothing at all to do with who we actually are, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that peeling off element, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the willingness to stand there naked. And then be seen.
Yes. By ourselves first, right? And that's actually coming into, the solar plexus, and coming into that sort of sense of ownership, really, of our nakedness and our vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because I can say I found that bit hard.
Yeah, same here.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Protection, standing there nakedly.
Yes. Yeah.
And simply not taking other people's opinion too deeply, too seriously. Being willing to receive, because you simply don't want to block the flow of life.
Yeah.
But it simply falls off you like water off a duck's back. It is irrelevant, but I am willing to witness and hear you.
Yes. Oh, to get to that phase.
Yeah, with no protection.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to get to that phase. That's been like childhood prayers, you know. I was always into Yeshua, Jesus, as a child. And would love to reach that place, that nakedness.
Yeah. Do you find you dip in and out of it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because it feels familiar, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you know it.
Yes, I do know it.
Yeah.
I'm always so grateful when I realise I've been it. So I never know I'm it at the time.
Yeah.
So do I look back and go, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the longing for it to return is literally on the next breath.
You know, that's an interesting one when you say that, really, because is that really what it is about in the end, then? Is it really about just allowing what is to be? Because do we always just dip in and out of these, like dip in and out of that sort of sense of central alignment when we're completely naked and
Yeah.
we're in our power, and we don't have to have like the fists up. We're we're
Yes.
we're just standing there and we're rooted and we're in our power and we're exuding this thing
Yeah.
that it creates its own protection just by the
Yeah.
exuding of it. You know,
Yes. Yes.
when we're in that power, it's like it's amazing, it's beautiful, but
Yeah.
is it meant to be there all the time? I don't know. Is it?
I don't know, Tash. I
Yeah.
don't. I often look to the natural world
Mm.
for insights on how to live. And so for me, the natural world and weather,
Mm.
it's ever changing.
Yes.
And it's totally okay. It's totally happy at this,
Yes.
with all of its faces and expressions.
Yes.
So I know nature's right.
Yes.
Nature's not complaining that
Yeah.
they've got it wrong.
Yeah. So like when we think of boundlessness and we think of that sort of sense of um, alignment, because sometimes I know for myself, like I want to know how something looks. You know, the questioning mind
Mm.
wants to the reassurance that you know what this looks like. so so basically, the strength and the power of the solar plexus and standing in my power,
Mm.
my mind tells me should look like, you know, that sort of sense of exactly what we were just talking about there, right? You know, that
Yeah.
sort of sense of power. You're standing in it and you're vulnerable, but you're strong and all of this. But what if there's like boundless nuances to that, you know, and you just, and it really is just about allowing all of those nuances to be as they are,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
you
That
know?
certainly sounds about right.
Because you were talking about the weather. I mean, I live in Brighton, so the ocean is at the end of my street, and I basically it's so unapologetic. Do you know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one day it's still, everybody's there having picnics and everything, and it's kind of like, you know, it's beautiful. What we would say is beautiful. It's a beautiful day. And then another day is kind of like it's slapping up against everything and it's angry. It's kind of like it's got PMT going on. And it's expressing that without any apology whatsoever.
That's right. Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
that's where we take our cue, do you think?
I would say so. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And the longer I live, the more I ease into that way.
Mm.
So when I was young, I was fighting that.
Yes.
Now that I'm getting older, I'm just allowing,
Yeah.
being and resting. It's
Mm.
very nice.
And
Yeah.
it's that sense of actually really honoring your truth in all its many forms, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Because truth doesn't only look one way; it's sort of multifaceted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And forever changing. And
Absolutely.
what's true, like half an hour ago, really, really absolute truth, can shift within 30 minutes
Yes.
and even 30 seconds, actually.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So dropping this down into this sacral, because when you're talking about that, when you're talking about the truth changing in 2 seconds flat,
Mm.
I'm actually beginning to see that even in this conversation about boundlessness, that I can feel them like drawing into my body here. I'm starting to feel that this is really about energy and frequency. And
Mm-hmm.
it's about just honoring the energy and frequency that's coming. I mean, that's my languaging around it, energy and frequency, but it's sort of that sort of sense of different nuances and textures to what we're
Yes.
experiencing.
Yes.
And just allowing that to be what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, fully. And I would say by allowing that, it's going to shapeshift again.
Yes.
And open again and reveal more.
Yes. 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 So when we pull this into the sacral, because the sacral for me feels like a place that you've rooted yourself in. It feels like you're very familiar with
Mm.
that sacral area. Would you say that's right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It feels like you spent quite a bit of time in there, like
I
from.
have been hanging around in there, yes.
So just tell, when you think of boundlessness, like the lens of boundlessness in the sacral, what comes up for you?
What comes up for me is the web of life.
Mm.
I truly feel us ladies are holding the web of life. If you can imagine a spider's web, and each node in the spider's web is a lady's womb.
Mm.
All of us girls and women are absolutely connected and holding everything that's happening on the planet in our interconnected womb web.
Mm.
So when I think into boundlessness concerning that, now I can communicate, I can pulse to
Mm.
single girl and woman on this planet.
Wow.
Every culture, every tradition, every continent.
Wow.
And this is a very exciting concept.
Mm.
Ladies can totally pulse information. We can share, pass on our information, knowledge and wisdom through the womb web.
Mm.
Receive, heal, listen, witness, nurse, comfort. You see, the Matrix, I'm a little bit into the Matrix or the Matrix. They like to tell you that you are one. You are one, you are independent, you're not interconnected, you are just this one island all hanging out by yourself.
Mm.
Whereas the womb says, that's ridiculous.
Mm. Mm.
So that's, when you say boundlessness, now we're all connected.
Wow.
And we're connected in that wordless, yet knowable womb wisdom space.
Just just open out the womb wisdom for me, because when I hear womb wisdom, I hear creation and I hear creativity. What does womb wisdom mean to you?
Womb wisdom to me means the old rituals, the old ceremonies, the old teachings of the womb. The womb was once recognized as being, doing, receiving, giving. And for me, it's really wanting to bring that conversation out across the dinner table in the most inappropriate times. Reminding ladies, the womb is, my God, it's such a grace to have a child. But it does more than that. It can birth non-physical offspring. True. That is word. Create and hold non-physical offspring.
Yes.
You can hold your beloved in your womb space if he's sick, confused, doubting himself. Projects, books. You know, if you think your womb can bring every single resource to bring matter into being.
Yes.
You just think about that.
Wow. That is quite infinite, actually. When I feel into that, there's an infinity and there's a deep intelligence there that we don't all plug into. But when you do plug into it, because when you were talking then about what you can hold in your womb, and I'm getting a sense of holding it in a protective gestation, let's say.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
For it to come into being, for it to come into flow, there's a protecting element in the womb.
Yes.
And also like a nurturing element that actually provides the conditions for things to come into play, into being.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. And that sort of percolating stage. So let's just say you've received wisdom, and like me, you're like, oh, I want to tell the world.
Yes.
But what you do is you just take it in and down.
Yes.
Let it percolate until it becomes your expression. You're not going to just regurgitate what you've just heard. Take that in and chew on it. Turn it over a little bit. Marinate.
Yes.
Make it yours. Then it comes out.
Yes.
You own it because it is you.
That is beautiful. I love the sense of that. I love the sensation of that. There's a like lush yumminess to that, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
And then what I'm getting that sense of is actually pulling this all the way down into the earth, into the root of us, into the core of our physical being, because there's so much about walking the talk, you know. Taking it out of the ethers and making it manifest.
Yes.
And the womb space plays a massive part in that, I feel.
Yes.
But how does it, when you think about rooting that, what comes up for you there?
Passing this on. Exactly what we're doing right now, whether it's teaching, sharing, circle holding, hands-on healing, audio recording, pass it on. Teach and share and transmit and emanate and radiate it out.
Yes.
Don't hold on to it.
Yes.
Make it known.
Yes. that to me is just kind of like a call out to walk your truth and be on purpose, basically. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it feels so very often that, and you know, there's been a lot of questioning around purpose and a lot of questioning. I've heard that, you know, across all sorts of realms about people wanting to understand what their purpose is and why they're here, and you know, to get that sort of sense of fulfillment and satisfaction by doing the thing that they're here to do, that they're born to do. Yes. And for me, what I've come to understand is that's so much about a journey. But also the passing on bit is so massive in that, because as we pass on, we learn, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. And it gets refined. The message, the delivery, our own understanding.
Yes.
Like our conversation this evening, I have received so much. So much.
Yes.
This is one of the best conversations I've had in flipping months. Seriously, Tash, I speak the truth.
Oh,
yeah.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Bless you. I love that. I love that sort of sense of, and I can say exactly the same. There's a wisdom that's in the presence of us, between us, that is actually just sitting there, and I can feel it moving back and forth, informing the both of us of something that's deeply wise within us, you know?
Yes.
And
yes.
That's exactly what you're speaking to when you speak to community, is really that sort of sense of actually creating the divine in the circle between you. That allows for you to be both informed of your own divinity in that circle, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a sense of actually doing it, there's a sense of doing it subconsciously, which we can all do when we meet somebody who, you know, we really resonate with, or we love, or is a friend or whatever. And, you know, you don't have to say anything. It's there in the midst between you, this unspoken agreement of just love and affection and warmth. But one of the most powerful things that I've found, certainly, is to actually do it consciously, to bring the divinity, to bring those elements of divinity as well, those singular elements of like respect and love and embrace and warmth and tenderness and understanding and knowing and listening and all of these things, you know, to just bring them into the center of, and watch what happens in the midst of that.
Yes, yeah. I remember hearing a really lovely word come up a few months ago. Courtesy. Courtesy of one another.
Yes.
And I jumped on that and went, oh, what a great word. That's a great word.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yourself
Yes.
and every single other person.
Yes. Yes.
Very nice.
Absolutely. And you could feel that in the cells when you say that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anaya Sophia, I absolutely adore you. You're just radiating this goddessness. Thank you so much for this conversation and for the presence and wisdom that you've brought to it. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I've enjoyed every moment, Tash. A real transmission between us.
If you've enjoyed this conversation and you'd like to go a bit deeper, then check out the Goddess Immersion that's going to be happening on the 1st of January. It will take you into all aspects of yourself as a woman and as a goddess, and it's, I think, the perfect present to give yourself for the new year. Perfect expansion present to give yourself for the new year. I hope to see you there.